Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Erin Viner.
And I'm Rebecca Rand.
In our top story, residents of southern Israel were forced to scramble for bomb shelters as Gaza-based terrorists unleashed another barrage of rocket fire on civilian communities. 4 Israelis were injured when a rocket hit their home while they were inside. Hamas fired more than 200 mortars into the Jewish state within just 24 hours, making it the largest escalation since 2014. In response, the Israeli Defense Forces destroyed a Hamas training facility situated above a massive network of terror tunnels. The army has deployed additional Iron Dome missile defense batteries on the Gaza border, as well as in the area of Tel Aviv. The IDF released a statement saying that it is determined to continue to defend the citizens of Israel and is prepared for a variety of scenarios that may intensify. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu toured the fire and rocket-ravaged region where he offered his support to the brave citizens living under the siege of constant terror. The premier expressed pride in the wonderful residents near the border who are facing difficult days and added his conviction that the terrorism emanating from Gaza will be defeated by the shared strength of the nation.
Iran continues to encroach on Israel from Syria. Israel's defense minister was in the Golan Heights last week, where he was briefed on Iran's entrenchment in Syria, which has been ravaged by civil war. Avigdor Lieberman said that pro-Iranian militants have used Assad's military offensive in southern Syria to establish a terror network just miles from the Israeli border. This comes as a senior Iranian leader boasted about the capabilities of the Islamic Republic's proxy armies and of the weapons that they have aimed at the Jewish state. Hossein Salami, the deputy commander of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, said that Hezbollah has over 100,000 missiles pointed at Israel. Salami also claimed that Iran's armies in Syria would be used as an instrument to destroy Israel, and he said that these troops were awaiting orders to eradicate the Jewish state.
And in related news, another Iranian stronghold in Syria has been attacked. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights released a statement reporting that the missiles targeted an Iranian Revolutionary Guards center near the Nayrab airport. Syrian state media is blaming Israel for the strike, which destroyed a logistical center, killing as many as 22 pro-regime soldiers, including 9 Iranians. Jerusalem refused to comment on the strike, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly made it clear that Israel will take every action to prevent Iranian entrenchment in Syria.
The chairman of the Subcommittee on National Security hosted a forum to discuss recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis said that the panel aimed to discuss America's potential recognition of Israeli control over the Golan in furtherance of U.S. national security interests. DeSantis invited politicians from both sides of the political spectrum to address the hearing, as well as Israel's former Foreign Ministry Director Dori Gold and Eugene Kontorovich, a legal expert from Northwestern University's School of Law. One of the experts explained the urgency of the situation, saying that until now the Golan Heights has been a sleeper issue. But as the Syrian civil war comes to an end, Israel's sovereignty could be contested.
U.S. President Donald Trump said that his recent meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin was really good for Israel. The two world leaders met just days after Putin hosted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the Kremlin, where they discussed the Iranian threat as well as the deteriorating security situation in Syria. The Israeli and American leaders were reportedly in close contact ahead of the Helsinki summit between Presidents Trump and Putin. In a press conference after that meeting, the Russian politician said that Trump raised the issue of Israel's security and that both men not only agreed that Israel's border should be secured, but that Damascus needs to adhere to the terms of the 1974 United Nations ceasefire agreement. Netanyahu has expressed his gratitude to both world leaders for their commitment to Israel's safety.
Jerusalem is furious over the passage of a bill in the Irish Parliament which categorizes the import or sale of goods produced by Jews in Israel's heartland as a criminal offense, while the purchase of goods produced by Arabs in the same area remains legal. The legislation calls for a 5-year jail sentence and a fine of up to £250,000 for anyone who violates the law, which Israel is calling immoral, biased, and blatantly anti-Semitic. The Israeli embassy in Dublin issued a statement saying that Jerusalem is concerned that the legislation will cause further divisions between Israel and the Palestinians.
The Iranian nuclear program was larger, more sophisticated, and better organized than anyone expected. That's according to authorities who have examined the documents extracted from the hardline Islamic Republic by the Israeli Mossad. Nuclear experts agree that the evidence proves that Tehran was working feverishly to build atomic bombs and that the country's leadership participated in concealing aspects of its rogue weapons initiative. The records reveal that current Iranian President Hassan Rouhani is a member of the Council for Advanced Technologies, which approved the clandestine nuclear program. They also detail how the Iranian army was tasked with converting low-grade uranium into weapons-level material required to fuel atomic bombs. A former nuclear inspector recently testified to Congress that Tehran conducted many more highly explosive tests than was previously known.
19 Arabs were arrested in a series of raids, which yielded the confiscation of dozens of guns and thousands of shekels intended to fund terror attacks against Israelis. The pre-dawn operations were part of a joint initiative with the Israeli Defense Forces, Israel Police, and Shin Bet Security Services. During searches of terror suspects in Hebron, the Israeli military discovered a weapons stockpile, including an assault rifle, an air-powered pistol, and lots of ammunition.
The Israeli Defense Forces is rolling out an anti-kidnapping application that can notify authorities when a soldier is in danger. Arab terrorists are constantly attempting to abduct Israeli troops to be held for ransom. And in efforts to combat this threat, the Army is implementing the Now Force platform after having it adapted for Israeli military usage. The program is equipped with a distress button to be pushed to alert the soldier's unit, in addition to the closest division and the IDF's Special Operations Room, all dedicated to providing rapid response in the event of an emergency. Once it's triggered, the app will activate the targeted troops' cell phones to provide rescue teams with both live audio and video feeds. NowForce has bases of operation in Israel and the United States. It has been hailed as one of this year's top 10 law enforcement solution providers and named a top vendor in global computer-aided dispatch.
The head of the missile program for a terror group was killed along with his teenage son when a mysterious blast rocked Gaza City. Arab media reported that Ahmad Hussan and his 13-year-old son were killed in a work accident, a phrase Arabic newspapers commonly use to describe an explosion during weapons manufacturing. Media sources in Gaza say that Hussan was the head of the missile unit for the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade.
Israel's public security minister ordered that a conference in Jerusalem be shut down for incitement. The Palestinian Authority sponsored the forum, which was attended by representatives of the Islamic movement in Israel. It was organized by the former Mufti of Jerusalem, Ikrimah Said Sabri, who was recently issued a travel ban by Israel after he held several other events alongside members of Hamas. The event is alleged to have been intentionally convened on the same date as a terror attack on the Temple Mount in 2017 that claimed the lives of 2 Israeli police officers. Public Security Minister Gilad Erdan branded it a conference of incitement and condemned the connection between the Islamic movement, the Palestinian Authority, and Turkish elements as a brazen attempt to encourage violence on the anniversary of the murders.
Israeli superstar Gal Gadot recently took time out of her busy schedule filming the Wonder Woman sequel to visit a children's hospital in the U.S. state of Virginia. Gadot suited up in her superhero costume and surprised the children and staff at the medical facility, which specializes in congenital heart disease. The Israeli sensation reportedly brought gifts for the kids and their siblings and also provided comfort to the parents of the hospitalized children.
Jerusalem is now preparing to launch a national space probe to the moon. Israel Aerospace Industries announced the Jewish state's goal of joining the exclusive club of just 3 countries to have successfully landed vessels on the lunar surface. The unmanned craft, named Space IL for Israel, is set to be fired from Cape Canaveral this December aboard the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket and slated to land on the moon on February 30th, 2019. Space IL's weight at takeoff is about 600 kilos, but fuel accounts for about 75% of that. So by the time of its landing, the spacecraft will weigh in at only 180 kilos. At just 1.5 meters high and around 2 meters wide, the probe will become the smallest craft to ever touch down. The company's CEO, Ido Antebi, says that during the soft landing, the craft will photograph the lunar surface and record video, followed by the planting of the Israeli flag on the moon.
Israel has dropped its consumption of plastic bags by 80%, saving nearly 7,100 tons of non-recyclable plastic annually. In January, the Jewish state enforced the plastic bag law, charging consumers 10 agorot, or about 3 cents for each plastic bag in the grocery store. Israel's Environmental Protection Minister Zev Elkin praised the news of the drastic decrease in consumption of plastic, saying the citizens of Israel have warmly embraced the environmental change and the economic savings inherent in this program.
A Jerusalem rabbi has announced that he is bringing the Bible back to the people by launching a chapter-a-day reading program in English. Rabbi Benny Lau's 929 project is based on the number of chapters contained in the Hebrew text of the ancient Holy Book. He says that the reading schedule is designed for individuals from all walks of life, religious and secular, learned or not, and all those living in the high-paced modern world. The program has a website and a smartphone application which provides written, audio, and video lessons, all aimed at making the Bible more accessible by teaching it one chapter at a time. 929's designers were inspired to launch a North American version in English to help reach across the cultural divides and make the Bible relevant to each reader.
That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein, and we're here on a beautiful sunny day on our rooftop studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Rebecca Zeffert. She's the founder of the Israel-Asia Center. Rebecca, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Rebecca, tell our viewers a little bit about what is the Israel-Asia Center?
So the Israel-Asia Center is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to building a shared future between Israel and different countries in Asia.
Why is there a need for such an organization? Why is Asia all of a sudden becoming this hot topic for economic development?
Well, a majority of the world's population live in East, South, and Southeast Asia. In fact, more people live in this area of the world than anywhere else outside of it. And by 2030, 4 out of 5 of the world's largest economies will be in Asia. So it only makes sense that Israel needs to be thinking about how it should engage and build relationships with some of these countries over the long term.
Are you seeing interest in Asia and Israel? We're this small country in the Middle East. Is that something interesting to these massive economies?
So we've certainly seen increased interest from different countries in Asia and in Israel over the past few years. We're seeing increased investments from different countries in Asia, particularly China, in Israel. And but Israel's still playing catch up, and Asia is still pretty new to Israel, even though we are actually part of the Asia continent, and we have a lot to learn.
What are some of the programs that you actually do within the organization?
So the Israel-Asia Center works along 2 different tracks. The first are programs focused on building future leaders in Israel-Asia relations, essentially training the capacity builders, the bridge builders, the force multipliers, the people who are going to be really driving forward and shaping these Israel-Asia partnerships in the years to come in key influencer fields. And the second track of our programming are public education and thought leadership events focused on creating a more Asia-informed and Asia-engaged Israeli public. So we explore different trends and developments on the ground in Asia, looking at what Israel's role is in the region, how Israel can carve out a pivotal role in the Asia region in the years to come, and looking at how we can collaborate and even co-innovate creative solutions with different countries in Asia for some of the biggest challenges of the 21st century.
One of the interesting things about the center is that you focus on the youth and the next generation. Why is that such an important thing for the Israel-Asia Center?
So I'm really glad that you brought up that program. That's a flagship program that we've been running at the Israel Asia Center for the past 7 years now. And we basically take high caliber young leaders from Israel and across Asia, including young leaders from countries that have no diplomatic ties with Israel, like Indonesia and Malaysia. And we put them through an 8-month leadership program here in Israel that essentially provides them with the tools, the know-how, the skills and the support network to develop very practical and very high-level partnerships between Israel and different countries in Asia. And of course they are really key in key people in the Israel-Asia space. They're known people in the Israel-Asia space after having gone through our program, and they're people that here in Israel people feel they can trust and develop partnerships with, and are essentially becoming very practical ambassadors for Israel with different countries across Asia. So whether they're setting up Israel-Asia accelerators, Israel-Asia ventures, publishing books about Israel in different Asian languages, and or securing investment from Asia in Israeli companies, they are all key drivers of the different Israel-Asia relationships.
We're seeing a lot of investment coming from Asia today into Israel. Is that kind of hit a peak, or is this just the beginning?
I think that we will see this relationship develop over time. Until now, most of the investment in Israel from Asia has been in the tech space and the innovation space, and I think over the next few years we will see this transition and see more investment in infrastructure activities, particularly given Israel's juxtapositions between Asia, Europe and Africa, and the development of China's Belt and Road Initiative.
You know, something that I've noticed is that there's a lot of tourism from Asia these days. Is this because of the economic cooperation, or is it just a coincidence? Is it just something that's happening at the same time?
Well, something we've seen a lot of over the past few years are more direct flights between Israel and different countries in Asia. So there are a number of different Chinese airlines and Indian airlines that have opened direct flights between Israel and China, Israel and India, Israel and Hong Kong, and we're just seeing more and more of those now as more investors are coming to Israel, as Israel is playing a bigger role, I think, on the world stage and also in Asia, and as these relationships with different countries in Asia are strengthening.
You've obviously come from England, from the accent. How does bringing in a Western culture help to bridge the gap between Israeli culture and Asian culture?
Well, I think first of all, the UK has developed long and well-established relations with different countries in Asia for decades now. You could say even centuries, and I think the same goes also for the United States, for Australia, and having been exposed to the kinds of activities and the ways in which those countries have developed those relations and that trust with different countries in Asia is something that I feel that I bring to the table here in Israel, and understanding how we need to be doing that, especially as an educational organization in this space.
Rebecca, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Well, we're always looking for people who are interested in engaging and getting involved in our work, and we feel that anyone who's really invested in and cares about the future security and the future prosperity of the State of Israel and the people of Israel, that they need to be involved and engaged in strengthening Israel's relations with Asia. So we would welcome you to be in touch with me directly, to be in touch with my staff, to visit our website, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Rebecca, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, the Return to Zion with Karen Hayesode.
Shalom and welcome to the Return to Zion with Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal. I'm Eliezer Moody Sandberg, World Chairman of Keren HaYesod, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. After 2,000 years, we found the descendants of the lost tribe of Dan. Please help us welcome our brothers and sisters back home. God bless you from Jerusalem.
In that day, the Lord will reach out his hand to reclaim the surviving remnant of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, from Cush, from Elam, from Babylonia, from Hamat, and from the islands of the Mediterranean. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11. Through their deep faith, Roy and Yuklin Chen, a devout Bible-believing Christian couple from Hong Kong, received a sign from heaven revealing their personal mission in life to help realize God's promise to return the exiled people of Israel back to their ancestral homeland. 1 year after the historic and inspirational journey to Ethiopia, Roy and Yuklin Chen have witnessed the prophetic vision gathering momentum through the continuation of the Ethiopian Jewish community's Aliyah to Israel. Within the last year alone, some 1,400 Ethiopians have returned to Israel through the assistance of Keren HaYesod, but many more have yet to complete their journey.
To have the whole prophecy being lived out right before us was simply overwhelming. Not only was it difficult to see the people in the camps waiting to go back to Israel, but when Father God gave us a message to share with them, which was simply that Abba, Father, has not forgotten them, that every one of them will be brought back to their homeland. And to use a couple that's living on the other side of the world, doesn't even know where Cush is or what Cush is, that's the length that Father will go to reach his children.
Roy and Yuklin came to Bangkok to an event hosted by the Friends of Israel of Keren HaYesod. They were joined by 1,500 Christian worshipers who gathered to help the fulfillment of the biblical prophecy come true.
Now Israel is 70 years old. It is time that we bring Israel home so that we can join to our brothers and be one new man.
We believe it is our privilege, each and every one of us, the Gentiles, to rally around our brothers and sisters in Israel and to take part in what the Lord has already set in motion.
Roy and Yuklin know that their mission has only just begun and are committed to making sure that all the remaining Ethiopian Jews are brought home to Israel.
The biggest blessing is not that, oh, if I give, then I will get financial reward. The biggest blessing is to know that your God is real and he keeps every one of his promises. And every promise that is made to you is going to happen because he answered the prayers of his people and they are coming home, and you can be a part of it.
He will raise a banner from the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12.
Together, we will bring all our brothers and sisters back to Jerusalem.
Now is the time to act. There is still so much more we can do. Join the Chens and Keren HaYesod in this fulfillment of the biblical prophecy.
Come join Keren HaYesod in fulfilling biblical prophecy. Let's bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
Israel's economy is today a world's leader, with roughly 4% annual growth, almost no inflation, the lowest unemployment rate in our history, a strong national currency, in the shekel and massive amounts of international investment, particularly in our high-tech sector. Now, that would be sufficiently impressive for any country, much less a country located in the worst neighborhood in the entire world, a country which, when it was founded, had no natural resources, surrounded by adversaries on all sides, a country that had to absorb many, many times its original population in terms of refugees, almost 1 million refugees from the former Soviet Union alone. Amazing. Nothing short of miraculous. What is the reason for this transformation? Well, discovery of natural gas off our shores in 2010 has made Israel an energy exporter. That's extraordinary. But the true source of our economic miracle has been our minds, our brains, our innovations. Israel is regularly listed as one, or perhaps even two, most innovative country in the world. We dedicate more of our national budget to innovation, and we are world leaders in every field, from high-tech agriculture to autonomous driving, and of course to cybersecurity. Israel is only 0.02% of the world population, but we account for 20% of the world's investment in cybersecurity. Every major high-tech company in the world, about 300 of them, have at least one research and development center here. Apple, a high-tech company that never had a research and development center outside the state of California, has 3 here now and is opening perhaps another one. The result, an annual income of $41,000 a year. Last year we passed Italy. Next year we'll pass Japan. And that is trickling down, closing out in America about $44,000 per capita income per year. Israel, among its many, many miracles, is also an economic miracle.
Lift up your eyes and look around. All your children gather and come to you. The biblical prophecy is unfolding right before our very eyes. The people of Israel are returning to the Promised Land after 2,000 years of exile. But millions of Jews are still longing to come home. Anti-Semitism threatens many of the Jews. We must rescue them before the window of opportunity slams shut. Bless Israel by supporting Keren Hayesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Together, we can fulfill the prophecy of the Bible.
Let us bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Erin Viner.
And I'm Rebecca Rand, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us next week for all of your Israel updates.